Happy Sunday, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? LSU pull off their victory 24-17. Much needed, desperately needed victory. Stop the bleeding. Literally, this team was in free fall. Absolutely had to have this win, had to have this victory. And Brian Kelly, for what everyone wanted to say during the week of he's lost the locker room. I know he has. Blah, 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 blah. It's very obvious the team wouldn't have been able to pull off that disciplined of a victory, focused of a victory, to do that if he had lost the locker room. I'm not saying that, I'm not making any crazy declarative statement by even saying that. But truly, LSU had to have that win. Brian Kelly and company delivered it. Garrett Nussmeier delivered it. Josh Williams set the tone, was the MVP. It was great to see LSU get a hard-fought, hard-nosed, just gritty team victory. You even saw Paul Mubenga jump in his rankings. It was great. It was a unexpected win where LSU ran out the last 5 minutes and 40 seconds off the clock. Just ran the game, literally ran the clock out. I even wrote that in my article and was like, oh, well, no, that's kind of putting it a little, that's kind of, demeaning their victory. But it's exactly what they did. They completely just emulated the possession style, control style, control the clock, control the ground, control time of possession like Vanderbilt loved to do. And we just did it instead for once this season, which this offense was always trying to do, run the football, control games, help Garrett Nussmeier. Instead, we haven't really seen it that much. And now we finally get to see it, and it helps LSU when Brian Kelly and what he's trying to build at LSU absolutely needed a victory. Bad. Your questions, all of your topics that you want of interest that maybe you want discussed, hit them in the chat. Just 1 second. I'm going to be firing off one little link here. We haven't even posted this on the actual site. Did you guys see that crazy Jaden Daniels Commanders just crazy game, just barely? Did any of you all see that? The game was absolutely insane. The Cowboys just barely escape Washington in a game that was just ridiculous. This game, it's too you have to really watch this game. I mean, I'm not a big fan of going back and actually watching football games over and over and over and over after you've already watched it once. I love to digest the film, especially if it's LSU. But like an NFL game, like a random NFL game, just watch. Hey, I'm going to watch a random NFL game like 20 different times. Like, no. Like, I'll watch an LSU game 20 different times. I'll specify with certain things like that. A historic Washington game. An old Super Bowl, an old NFC title game. But I'm not going to be like fishing for some crazy, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just too much to watch like a Brett Favre throw 5 interceptions, Brett Favre's rookie year in Atlanta, like some random game against the Saints. Like, why would I, is basically, I guess, what I'm trying to say. But point is, this game was one of the most unbelievable slapstick, most ridiculous games you will ever see, and go back. And it is actually worth going back and watching it, because it was so many fumbles and batted passes turning into interceptions, and kickoff return for touchdowns, and just turns of just crazy things that were going on every second in that game. So many twists and turns, and just so much madness in that game. It was something to behold. You even had Jaden Daniels and company pulling off a last-second miracle, Hail Mary miracle again, where really they didn't have to have a Hail Mary, because Terry McLaurin just burned everybody to the end zone. And you're thinking, wow, this thing's going to overtime. Jaden Daniels pulled off another miracle. This is incredible. And then, just like Jaden Daniels suffered against the Florida State 2022 at the end of the Florida State game, a missed PAT in a game that had Washington blocking PATs, blocking punts. It was a game where some crazy shit was going on. This was just a complete straight up miss. When you're thinking this is routine, it's going to go 27-27, we're going overtime. This was just a wild game. And then on top of that, they score on the onside kick. Just ridiculous madness. This is the third game in a row that Washington and Jaden Daniels have fallen. But, this is expected. He's a rookie, ebbs and flows of the rookie year and stuff like that. I'm not too concerned by it. But back to who we really want to discuss, which is LSU football. And Garrett Nussmeier was on fire last night. I know there's a lot of people who have a lot of different ranges of opinions on Garrett Nussmeier. Some that I believe are correct, some that I think are wrong, some I disagree with, some that I agree with, some that I think, it's kind of a gray area. No matter what you want to say about Garrett, no matter what you want to say, this is the narrative, he shouldn't be starting. Or this is the narrative, he should be our guy. Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say, whatever your opinion on it, Garrett Nussmeier is, no one can deny not only that this kid has superior toughness, but that this kid can make throws that are absolutely gutty and make you just speechless sometimes. Like, whoa, a college quarterback is making an NFL throws right before my eyes. Like, he has no fear throwing the football right into any window. Look at this throw that he made to Aaron Anderson. Aaron Anderson clearly did not bring on it. This was incredible. This was unbelievable from a pure quarterbacking standpoint. Garrett Nussmeier out of control with this pass. And this game, you see the score, 27-10. LSU should have won this 34-10, something like that. This game should not have been 24-17. That is, there's all the signs of a team that just they're a year away. They're close to something here. They're building something here, but you know what? They're a year away. Aaron Anderson makes that catch 99 out of 100 times. He's got to pull that in, and this game's over. Instead, you don't pull it in. You actually give Vanderbilt a chance. It's not just that you blow an opportunity. You actually give Vanderbilt a chance to come back in this thing. And just what a freakish throw by Garrett Nussmeier. And so whatever you want to say about Garrett, whatever you want to say, there's a lot of people who have just some opinions about Garrett Nussmeier that are just some I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? But whatever. People can have their opinions on however they want. But when you actually see Garrett Nussmeier behind an offensive line that blocks for him, where he's not getting sacked every damn play, when you see Garrett Nussmeier with even just a little bit of a running game, just a little bit of a running game, you can see him. He goes for over 300 yards almost every time. When the offense is actually ticking, Nuss is going to throw for over 300 yards, and LSU should win the game. And usually, if they lose the game, it's because very tiny little margins, and this team is just not ready, not mentally capable of crossing that threshold competitively yet. Maybe this next season they'll be able to do it. Maybe this next season they'll be able to compete on a championship level. But the pieces just aren't there yet. You've got guys, and that's the sad thing. You've got guys like Josh Williams, who he's gonna graduate and he's gonna leave LSU as a national champion, part of the 2019 team, part of the 2023 offense. He played with 2 Heismans. I'm not really feeling too bad about his career. He's leaving with a master's degree. He's leaving with, a historic career, going from a walk-on to the starting running back, and like a damn good one at that too. To now he's really just this is his last dance, and he is just making people miss all over the place. He's got more missed tackles forced than Caden Durham. There's a lot of narratives. Oh, he's slow. Yeah, maybe if you utilize him in the wrong way, you run him up the gut. Yeah, same thing with Caleb Jackson. If you run him up the gut, yeah, he's going to look slow. But when you actually have good, proper blocking, nice schemes, good holes, good lanes, and then Josh actually hits the hole, no hesitation, just the right vision here, the right amount of patience, but he's also just making people miss. He's just running with pure violence. He's just not going to be stopped. There's a will there that just can't be tamed. But you know what? You also saw incredible blocking from Paul Mubenga and DJ Chester together, comboing up on people, looking really good. And that was a big turnaround from allowing 9 pressures and 3 sacks last week, like Paul Mubenga did against Florida. Yes, that is correct. Paul Mubenga allowed 9 pressures and 3 sacks alone against Florida. This last week he allowed 3 pressures, which actually a couple other guys allowed 3 pressures or more, but 0 sacks. And you saw a lot of strong blocking from Mubenga. So Paul Mubenga, we sent out a post for him, tagged him in it. Just, hey, bro, you kick some ass. Like, you need your flowers for that. This is a hell of a play from Sage Ryan. You know why? It's not just that he makes this sick-ass play, a play LSU safeties haven't been able to really make all year, except for when Sage Ryan has made it. And he's made it a few times. But this play is absolutely disgusting because not only does it prevent them from getting the first down there, and it's 4th and 1, I believe, but then we stuff them on that 4th and 1, turnover on downs, and it's a big play in the game because then LSU go up 14-7. It's a big play in the game, and it basically started this downhill spiral where Vanderbilt could not control the football or time of possession. From that play forward, Vanderbilt lost control of the fucking game. Sage Ryan has done some things that have won games for LSU this year that people don't even think of. That batted pass against Arkansas, which prevented a touchdown, was then followed up by him knocking out Jaquindon Jackson, their running back. Their leading yards player, leading gainer on their entire offense. He knocks him out of the game. When he's starting to kind of pick up some rhythm, Sage Ryan knocks him out of the game. Forced fumbles at some crucial moments, at South Carolina. This is cool to see. West Weeks I don't know why him and Dominic McKinley weren't credited with a TFL here. He's clearly behind that black line there. How is that not a TFL when you look at where the ref's standing too? How is that not a TFL? Either way, LSU were credited with 15 stops. 15 stops on Pro Football Focus, which means a tackle for a negative play, which they get 1 yard, that type of stuff. Tackles for no gain, Whit Weeks racked those up. He would get cheated out of TFLs all the time as a freshman. And all the time, actually, early this season, there was some games where he was kind of cheated out of some TFLs. But LSU had 15 TFLs last night. The defensive, box doesn't look sexy. They just had one total sack, the sack that Sean Washington and Braden Swinson shared. Braden Swinson now on 8 sacks. He needs 4.5 to break Arden Key's all-time record. 4.5 in the last 2 games. He had 3 quarterback hits. He was hungry for those sacks. He was close. Savion Jones had a beautiful TFL though too, but just 1 sack, 2 TFLs. Swinson had a half TFL. Sean Washington had the half TFL, both for that sack. And then Savion Jones had a brilliant play where he just literally chucked Diego Pavia into the ground when Diego Pavia tried to escape. Whit Weeks led the way with 7 tackles, 5 solo, 2 quarterback hits on 2 quarterback pressures when he pressured. Devon Keys with 5 total tackles, 1 solo, but then he had 1 awesome quarterback hit, 1 quarterback pressure on a key 3rd down that totally forced an errant incomplete throw from Pavia, completely screwed up everything they were trying to do. Huge play from the young, this freshman Devon Keys is coming to been awesome. And I mean, Sage Ryan, 3 tackles, 3 solo. West Weeks, 4 tackles, 1 solo. No TFLs. I don't understand why him and McKinley weren't credited for at least a share of a TFL there, each other. But no turnovers or anything defensively. But look at this. 2 of 10 on 3rd down from Vanderbilt. They were 2 of 10 on 3rd down. Just 122 rushing yards. Their leading rusher had 43 yards, Pavia, and it came off of 1 run, 36 yards. He did have a rushing touchdown, though. He did have a passing touchdown, that 63-yard bomb right over the top. I'll look and see who that touchdown was directly charged to, according to Pro Football Focus. LSU were 8 of 13 themselves on 3rd down as well. So conversely, we did well on 3rd down. They were terrible on 3rd down. We completely controlled the game by 9.5 more minutes, ran 21 more plays. We outgained them by almost 200 more yards as well. So, 332 through the air through Nussmeier. And while he only has 1 touchdown pass, 76% completion rating, 28 of 37, you also got to remember, Lacey drops a touchdown. Whether he's credited with it or not, he drops it, and so does Aaron Anderson. So Nussmeier should have 3 touchdown passes and over 400 yards with the statistics and 30 completions. So his numbers could even look even more sexier, but due to 2 passes being dropped, you see that. Zy Alexander credited with the touchdown over the top. I knew he would be, but I just wanted to make sure. Yep. He's credited with he had the big bust. He let the dude just go right over the top and just he lost. He just completely got exposed. He just completely got burned right off the line, crisped. And you can say what you want about safety help, or like it was done. It was done because they trust Zai. They put him on Moorab Island. He got burned. First touchdown he's allowed all season. He's had a hell of a year, but that one, no, no, he got done for there. And we can even look at the film of that as well. Like, let's look at the film of that, because the game did not start well, didn't it? It started like the worst thing for LSU possible. You had Pavia doing stuff like this, like Jalen Milroe did against us all night long. But here's the thing: instead of Jalen Milroe being able to cut this straight through and be just gone, Pavia has to go out of bounds because he's not as fast. Thank God. Like, that is clearly what you can see right there. Like, thank God he is not that fast. And then Josh Williams just said, you know what? No, I am going to not. You cannot stop me. You cannot stop me tonight. You can try to tackle me. It says he only had 2 broken tackles, missed tackles for us in the entire game. He had 2 right there on that play alone. There's at least 3 more right there. You see like 2, 3 different people diving for him and missing in that pile. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. 3 different guys. You could even count the number 4, but we're not going to count him because we'll just say he doesn't make a tackling attempt officially. But those other 3 guys absolutely do. Pro Football Focus, come on, you got to be better about your stats. He has 2 on this play alone, receiving wise, and then he's got at least 3 on that run alone, rushing wise. So, Josh Williams just would not be denied. What a performance by the 18. What a performance by the 18. Incredible. It sucks that it almost feels like he could have just been able to stay at LSU for the rest of his career, It almost felt like Josh Williams can just stay forever, at LSU. Like, he's been there 6 years. And you'll never see stuff like that again in college football. And it's only something that happened because of the COVID, the pandemic year. Such a unique situation where he's part of a 2019 championship team. And then you get to like sit on it in this weird twilight where it's like, are we going to have a season? Are we not? How are they going to do this? They have one, but we don't really consider it a real season, right? Going forward, it's like, oh yeah, actually, that's an extra season now you can use. And when that moment comes, guys extending their careers, it's something that you're going to still see for a little bit here, for the next year at least, I believe, right? This is like, yes, I think this is the last season, right, technically, that this can be used. We'll see. Josh Williams, 233 receiving yards. Kyron Lacey with 8 touchdowns, which is the most receiving touchdowns in the SEC right now. Kyron Lacey leads the SEC in touchdown receptions. That's fantastic. Oh yeah, we're gonna look at that pass over the top. This is the opening play. Opening play on defense. You can't even blame Jordan Gilbert there. You can tell it's Jordan Gilbert because of his hair, but it's you can't even blame Jordan Gilbert there. That is absolutely that's completely on Zy Alexander. He just gets burned. He just gets crisped. Incredible. His first time that's happened all season. Zy Alexander's been so consistent, so shut down, but Diego Pavia, those guys, Vanderbilt went right at him, and that's a great game plan because here's the thing. He can make great plays on the ball, but I think it's great to test a corner like Zy Alexander early because that's when I've seen him give up his big plays. If he's going to give him up, he always gives him up early. Test him early, boom, steal a touchdown off the board. That touchdown could have been pivotal had they been able to get another score in there. Somehow this game would have been tied going to overtime, when it really should have been a game that LSU should have shut the door on long before. The Aaron Anderson drop, that would have made it 24-10. You've got to catch that. Kyron Lacey also drops one that makes us have to go for a field goal. Garrett Nussmeier just barely overthrows Trey'Dez Green on that 4th and goal attempt, where we should have just taken points. It's 7-7, for Christ's sake. Just take points. Like, this is going to be a tight game where every point matters. Take the lead. 10-7. Take points. Like, I'm not a field goal guy at all either. And you've got the matchup in Trey'Dez Green. But anything can happen. There could have been an operation fuck up where they lose control of the snap, everything. Anything. So LSU really, and the fumble on the opening kickoff that was just barely recovered by Xavion Thomas fumbles, but it's barely recovered by Juwan Johnson. Really, the game could have been different before it even began. It's thank God it was not, though, and LSU just took care of business and got this thing done, because I really can't even fathom what the atmosphere would be like right now. The support of Brian Kelly would be if a 4th straight loss and a 5th loss in the season would occur. But not only that, it's the way it's happening. It's how it's happening. Have you lost the locker room? Like, all of that just raging on and on and on and on. And then come to find out, all these people who are literally screaming this stuff from the mountaintops, all you have to do is win a game that you should win. You should beat Vanderbilt. And the questions stop, and he didn't lose the locker room. Oh, we're all good. We just aren't that good of a team right now, and we'll figure it out in the future. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. It would be nice if the understanding could happen in the darkest of times, not just like when you finally get a win again, because it's like that toxicity just compounds the environments. And I understand that there are athletes who maybe they need to be mentally tested and put to the test and see if they can survive and deal with handle the pressure and blah, blah, blah. I get it. But also, these are kids too. And some of the stuff that went down this week, some of the things that were made to seem like they were saying other things, and some of the things that were twisted, and some of the kids that were kind of put in a difficult situation, was not fair, was not okay, was not cool. Some of those kids didn't play because of that type of stuff. So it was very, very It was very tough to see that. Our fans getting into these situations with players. There was this sicko who posted this on LSU wore a ribbon, a purple ribbon on their helmets in honor of C.J. Daniels' mother, who fights with epilepsy. Okay, should be in solidarity with her. That's all this is. And this sick Jacko boy or whatever his name is attacks him, and not only that, but like says the N-word and says like trashes the mom. I don't give a shit about his mom. Like all this. I just want Underwood. Like it was literally the most rabid, disgusting version of fandom I've seen in a while. And CJ Daniels actually responded to him and he was like, "Don't you dare disrespect my mom." Like it was like, hell yeah. And the guy, of course, was like, "I didn't disrespect anybody." And it's like, okay, I think you can see who you're dealing with here now, CJ. This is someone who's just too stupid to understand, like how just terrible they are. Like they don't speak for all the fans, but my God, are we all embarrassed of them? Every fan base has them, but my God, ours can be next level bad. Let's be real. Also, we have received word over the last week, as you've seen from our website, LSUODYSSEY.com. You've seen live shows where we've hinted at these things, articles that we've hinted at these things, but LSU's head coach, Brian Kelly, and his staff are working on retaining as many of these key veteran players as possible. We already have a good feeling that Garrett Nussmeier is going to come back for another season. It appears that there's kind of a consensus around him, around his people, around him, that kind of like that 2-year vision. Joe, Jaden, that makes sense for Nuss, and LSU absolutely need Nuss, and it's a good situation for Nuss, but LSU have to build around him, and they have to protect this kid. They can't just let him throw for 60 attempts a game every game and just, hey, you're gonna have to throw us to victory every game, and we're not even gonna give you the best, receiving core possible. Like, it sucked because you've had to hurt C.J. Daniels, you've had to hurt Chris Hilton Jr. most of the season, Kyron Lacey, racking up stats, leading the SEC in touchdown catches, but he's really not played that well. He's dropped a litany of big plays, of big key third downs, touchdowns, literally dropped touchdowns. I mean, it's hard to say, oh, he's caught 8 touchdowns. Well, hey, you've dropped 8, 5. How dare you? Like, people, that's going to happen. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson were crazy and even dropped wide open touchdowns in 2019. We saw that. So this stuff happens, but there's no comparison when you're looking at how some of these guys have performed. It's way below the standards of LSU receiving core. We're talking about what Shelton Sampson has been able to do. He's been anonymous. You've seen really good strides from Aaron Anderson, in my opinion, and I think Aaron Anderson is your number 1 guy, number 2 guy, probably your number 2 guy, your slot guy, your Robin to a Batman. Hopefully C.J. Daniels comes back next season and really takes over and gets healthy. And I don't know how this guy only has 0 touchdowns this season, C.J. Daniels. How does this cat have 0 touchdowns? But LSU staff really want to make sure that they can retain as many of these veterans as possible, and that includes Harold Perkins. Obviously, they would love to have Harold Perkins back. Torn ACL. He's in a situation where would it really be a smart thing for him to go try and, go to a combine, all this stuff, testing on that knee, running on that knee, doing tests and drills and all this stuff? Or, actually recover, take your time, not have to rush it through spring, come back in fall camp, and we ease you back into the action with Devon Keys and Whit Weeks in there to start, and move Harold Perkins kind of in and out of the lineup until he's fully healthy, and give him a go at star position or something. Like that's what you should do. We'll see. Maybe he'll say, "Hey, Mason took his chances and he won big. He got it. He became a second-round pick." But Harold isn't a second-round pick. This is a kid who should be a first-round pick, top 10 pick, not a second-rounder who's like content with that. But the injury, the uncertainty around his positional, future, and the lack of performance as well that we last saw. We didn't see the same old Harold Perkins that we'd seen before. We saw some of the deficiencies, the undersized, the underweight that he had, stuff like that. The inability to play the standardized linebacker position, the round peg in a square hole they're trying to fit together. But Perkins, as I've been told from my multiple sources to LSU Odyssey, that for the last week now, as we've been reporting consistently, it's not just a growing belief that he's going to come back. It's an absolute likelihood that this young man is like, hey, you know what? There's no way I can go into the NFL draft like this. There's no way I can talk to owners and people like after stuff like we need to get healthy first. And then let's go and do our junior year again. It's not how I drew it up. It's not how we want it to go. But this is, and you know what? LSU are going to make it nice, make it good for me to come back as well financially. They always have taken care of us. So let's make that happen. That's what I'm hearing. I don't see that changing. I really don't. It would be shocking and I think bad advice. I said the same thing about Mason Smith, and here's why. And notice that Mason Smith, even though he was a second-round pick and he did get paid a good contract, he it's likely he's not going to have that career longevity, and you're already seeing it. He's barely played this season. Last time I checked, I believe he had 0 snaps this season. Let's look that up right now. I hope he's actually gone and been able to play. I'd love to be wrong. Yes, Mason Smith's played. Sweet. Okay. I swear to God, like the first few games of the season, he didn't play, and I was like, what? Okay, what's going on here? And then, so he's got a sack on the season. Good. Okay. He had a sack in October. So he hasn't played since October 13th. So, okay, yes, okay. So Mason pass batted. He hasn't played since October 13th. I'm not sure why. We'll look that up. But yeah, Mason Smith, another reason I just think he's a dude who really could have used another year, come back another year. But Harold Perkins is a whole different prospect altogether where this isn't a defensive tackle. He just needs to get back into game shape. This is a guy who needs to figure out what his role on the football field should be. Like where he can best affect the game, where he can best win games for his team. Like, I think it's the star position right now. I think that's clearly until he gains weight or whatever. What's up, Sage? Ah, you're all wet. You gully. I'm stepping over things. And it's only right that if you're going to keep Harold Perkins, you're going to absolutely, and you want Garrett Nussmeier coming back. You also really want to make sure that you protect your quarterback, right? And so you cannot let Will Campbell and Emory Jones both go to the NFL draft, can you? You've got to pay one of these guys to stay. And you know what? Emory Jones, I think the reason why he might do this, his potential to play a full season at left tackle, to start at left tackle, Will Campbell goes to the league, and then he starts at left tackle next season for LSU. Or hell, he could even play right guard. Emory Jones could play a variety of different positions. And depending on where LSU kind of go in the transfer portal, who they bring in, where they identify as needs, of course, they got to bring in a second center to at least push and improve Chester. And you saw a better play from DJ Chester. You saw a better play from Paul Mubenga. Still, they allowed multiple pressures. But then again, Emory Jones allowed 5 pressures yesterday. He allowed 5 pressures. But at the same time, Emory Jones had a great game. So it's like Emory Jones' film looks really good, but then the numbers say he allowed 5 pressures. So it's Pro Football Focus, when you're talking about offensive linemen, is not gospel. And never, it's a metric that you can kind of consider and add to the stew of your analysis. But it's never just end all be all. That's what we go by. Don't do that with Pro Football Focus. Of course, Mason Taylor is going to also be on that list. But how can you convince a dude who you really haven't used as much as you should have this season? You've really wasted Mason Taylor. He only has 2 touchdowns this season. He's got 518 yards, 52 catches, but that's quite comparable to his freshman season as well. So, like, let's see this here. No, it's way more than his freshman year. He's got 104 more yards than his freshman year. He's got 14 more catches in his freshman year. Never mind. So he's been way more involved, but just still 2 touchdowns. Only 6 career touchdowns for Mason Taylor. He's been involved. He's been impact. He's been a high impact player for LSU, and he's been amazing for 3 years for LSU. Would he return? I think so. But here's the thing. Look at that. Just 3 catches for 25 yards. Just 3 catches, 21. 4 for 50. 6 for 59. See, the more you get him the ball, the more his yards go up, and then touchdowns come into the picture. Like, get him the football. I don't understand why, look at that. 8 for 77. You get him the ball 8 times, he's going to have, 70 plus yards. Come on. It just makes no sense to me why Mason Taylor, they don't just feed him. Like, get him like 10 plus catches. because they just can't stop him. Like, look at that. 7 catches, 88 yards. That's when him and Nuss played their first game, started their first game together. And he was like, that's the way they need to continue to use Mason Taylor. It was just slip screen after slip screen after slip screen, just quickly getting in motion pre-snap and then just quickly feeding him the football. But look at that. There's 2 games of 88 yards for Mason Taylor, and that's the most. I'm not ragging on him at all. I'm saying that you've got to feed him more. You've got to give him the ball more because he's such a weapon. I was glad I got to see him get 6 catches for 63 yards against Georgia. He was fantastic in that game. And then against USC, did Mason score against USC, or was that just Aaron Anderson? Let's see. Yeah, he had 7 catches for 62 yards against USC. I remember he was good in that game too. So that's the thing. You need to get him at least 6 catches a game. It's ridiculous that you can't feed Mason Taylor the football more. I don't understand why that becomes an issue. But it seems like this offense must spread it around and feed as many mouths as possible instead of just like, hey, you know what? They can't stop Aaron Anderson. Hey, you know what? They can't stop Mason Taylor. Hey, you know what? They can't stop CJ Daniels. Just keep going back to him until they can stop him, right? And I understand, like, that's when sometimes you throw bad interceptions. That's when people spy tendencies and break on a route, stuff like that. But, like, that's why you prepare for that shit. You have, okay, we're burning them on the out pattern. We're burning them on the out, okay? And then now we're going to do the out and up where you're going to take the out pattern and then you're going to take it up right when he breaks on that route, thinking I'm going to throw the out. I'm going to pump, and then you're going to sell it, take it up, touchdown. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a very simple, very, very simple route to use as an example there. But basically, LSU should have a dominant receiving corps. But and there, in a lot of ways we have, but it's been rather piecemeal. It's been rather, here's a little bit, here's a little bit, here's a little bit there, here's a little bit there. You know, you've got Kyron Lacy, who's got the most statistics, but like, he's been probably the most disappointing as well. I mean, it's bizarre. CJ Daniels doesn't even have a touchdown catch, but people rave about his relationship with Garrett Nussmeier, passing the football. Those two being in such connection, all this stuff. You don't really hear the same about Lacy and Nuss, but then again, Lacy has all the numbers. So it's a very interesting dynamic, but Lacy's going to be gone next year. Lacy's got 2 more games at LSU, Oklahoma, and then a bowl game. So CJ Daniels did have a red shirt in 2022, tore his ACL. CJ Daniels has the option on the table if he wants to come back for LSU. He is another player that LSU's staff are kind of eyeing as like, hey, you're another veteran we've got to have come back. And I think it's because Nuss and him have such tight chemistry. And not only that, but I mean, he's a 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown guy from the past who had a really good season, even while playing through nasty injuries, multiple injuries, injuries that have kept some guys off the field all season. Instead, he played through those, gutted through those, and made tough catches for LSU instead. God, I know those are a little garish and gaudy and kind of ugly, those jerseys, but I love them. I don't care. I love them. I just love that they did something different. They experimented. Starburst. Taste the stars. Taste the starburst. Well, since there's no comments, everybody, I'm going to be checking out. But this was, in my opinion, let me show you this. I got sent this Barcelona jersey for Sage, a little tiny one. And then we got an LSU one as well, a little LSU one as well somewhere. Can't remember if it got something on it, if it's being like kind of not washed, but we're like cleaning it or something. I don't know, can't remember what Chelsea's doing to wash it without washing it, but yeah, it's cute as hell. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for checking out the show, for checking out the site. It was great to see LSU get a win. Great to see the fans kind of get off the players' ass, but also great just for these guys like Josh Williams, who he's going to be going out his last stand, and we got to send that kid out the right way. And if you're going to a game, just remember that when you're at the game. Okay, I know it's going to be tough, and I know you pay a lot and you brave a lot to be there and to be a fan and all that. Okay, but remember that when you're at those games, like, hey, how much this means to someone like a Josh Williams, how much this means to someone like a Miles Frazier, who this could be his final game, I believe. I wasn't quite 100% sure on that with Miles Frazier. So just remember that. Keep that in mind. Not saying you have to have some holy reverence for it or something, but just, keep it in mind that this matters to kids still. And if here's the thing though, if you see that guys aren't playing like it doesn't matter, okay, then you don't have to. You paid that ticket, you can do whatever the hell you want to. But I'm just saying, I just keep dropping shit. Sorry. Just remember that there's some kids who are still fighting out there. I think we saw evidence of that against Vanderbilt, and hopefully we see more of that in the coming games, because we got to finish this off right against Oklahoma. We cannot lose to Oklahoma, and then we cannot lose to whoever we're going to meet in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I guarantee you $100 billion right now. We will be matched up against someone in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. In the fucking Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's coming. Pop-Tarts Bowl against Pop-Tarts Bowl against Ole Miss. Pop-Tarts Bowl. Oh, I'm going to be done anyway. I'm signing off. LSU to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Chelsea's going to do the mascot as well. She'll make the mascot. Everybody, take it easy. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Go Tigers, baby.